Hey everybody, this is Blake here, and welcome to my review of Oblivion, Tom Cruise's new science fiction action flick. Try as I might, I could never really get all that excited to see this. I'm not sure why either, as I'm a big Tom Cruise fan. I think he's a solid actor with a lot of charisma, and he generally does a good job at choosing his projects. There has been very few Tom Cruise movies that I have disliked. Then, of course, the guy who directed it had previously done Tron Legacy, which, while that polarizes many people, I personally got a lot of enjoyment out of it, and it's a science fiction action flick. What's not to like about that? Yet whenever I'd see the trailers, it just seemed so unremarkable. Even M. Night's After Earth movie with Will Smith, which had a kind of a similar premise, I wouldn't call it a ripoff or anything, but you know, there are definitely a lot of comparisons to be found there. That even looked more intriguing, even though M. Night is involved, and that's always not a good thing anymore. So yeah, I just had no real interest, even though I knew I'd check it out because I see everything. And then the reviews came in, and for the most part, the critics were, positive, but lukewarm positive, and it seemed like the general audiences agreed with them for once. So I figured just check it out and, expect an okay movie, and that's pretty much what I got. I will say this, I liked it more than I thought I would. It wasn't as generic as I expected it to be, but it is very flawed. It's actually, even in some ways, downright uneven. The plot is aliens invaded Earth. Even though humanity won, Earth was wrecked in the process, so the survivors had to move to, I think they said a moon on Saturn. And then the remaining people on Earth just includes Tom Cruise, and I can't think of the actress's name, but his co-worker slash girlfriend, and they're sort of the mop-up crew, where they're making sure that all of Earth's resources are taken to the new location without problem, because some of the aliens have been left behind and are attacking them. And of course, they go into there's big conspiracies, intrigue, a lot of twists and stuff like that. But I will say this: even though I expected some of the twists to actually happen, there were some genuine surprises. I was thrown off guard. Now, none of these reveals are especially original, but they were set up in a way that I didn't see coming, and I like to think that I'm pretty good at catching on to this stuff. So props to the movie for that. And when I think about the script, there's very little I think is truly bad. I think some stuff didn't quite work as well as it wanted to. For example, there's this real soap operatic love triangle, which I wasn't sure was necessary, but why not? It could have been handled worse, I guess. It doesn't take up too much screen time, even though the pacing is definitely one of this film's weaker issues. I think my biggest issue with the script was they dump a lot of information on you so suddenly that it's often hard to process. Even now that I'm thinking about the movie, I am still confused about so many things. There are so many unanswered questions, and I plan on watching it again on Sunday with my mom, because she really wants to see it too. Maybe I'll be able to catch up or pick up on more stuff, I don't know. But I did feel that whenever they'd reveal something, important and huge, they dropped on us so quickly, and yet didn't clarify anything. So yeah, I spent a lot of the movie unsure what exactly was going on. The characters are kind of typical. They're very much stock movie characters. Tom Cruise, he's playing a good person in the fullest sense, where he just wants to help people, but he regrets that he has to leave Earth. He does ask questions and challenges authority, whereas his co-worker, even though she's not necessarily a bad person, she does not want to even challenge her superiors. So that it's typical dynamic there. That leads to some confrontations. The third wheel love interest that shows up, she has practically no personality, even though I like the actress, she's good looking, and I think she's talented, but there's nothing noticeable about the character. And then of course you'll have other people show up, like Morgan Freeman and the guy from, I think, Game of Thrones. I've never watched that, so I'm not really sure. There's not a whole lot to their characters, even though they themselves are pretty awesome. One thing I did feel was kind of off is I didn't think the director did a great job at directing the actors. So much of their performances just seemed kind of iffy. Even like Tom Cruise, who's great, whenever he tried to say something that was supposed to be funny, it would just sort of fall flat. And Tom Cruise, I think, is really good when it comes to, balancing drama and comedy in his performances. But here, and I didn't think the jokes themselves were that bad. It just they didn't really click. They didn't make me groan or anything, but they never made me laugh either. And then some of the other performances, which I don't want to spoil anything there, they were just, I don't know, a bit over the top maybe. It's not that the acting was bad, it just, I don't know, there's something consistently off about it. But the special effects are frickin' amazing. I love the designs of all this stuff. I thought the drones looked awesome. The ship he flies around is awesome. I love his like motorcycle that he stashes in the ship, and it's kind of he unfolds it to ride it. I just love that kind of stuff. And the special effects, even though there's a lot of CGI, the CGI looks spectacular. I never saw them as just CGI. I really felt that I was seeing these vehicles and stuff take flight. It's just everything about this movie, from the props to the vehicles to the aliens, whatever. I just loved the designs. It was very creatively done. But the difference between this and Tron Legacy is, even though Tron Legacy had some problems in terms of its story and script, I didn't mind as much there because I really felt that the script was only there to serve the visuals. You were only supposed to be paying attention to the special effects, much like the original Tron. But here it seemed like, even though the special effects definitely were the best thing about this movie, it did want to have a bit more emphasis on its script, and like it wanted to meet the script in the middle somewhere, so you'd be impressed with the story and the visuals, but it just didn't quite cut it. So I think I enjoyed Tron Legacy more, even though the screenplay here might be better. Maybe they should have just focused a bit more on spectacle instead of substance, because that's another thing too, whenever it tries to have some deep and inspiring scene, the actors for some reason don't quite pull it off. One scene they show in the trailer that really bugged me was when Tom Cruise is sort of recreating a baseball game, and it's supposed to be real moving, and it just, I don't know, it's kind of silly. But so yeah, and there are definitely a lot of big ideas. I think they could have made a great movie, on par with something like Looper, which I thought also just had a lot of spectacular ideas, but that movie just weaved those ideas into a much better screenplay. Here, it's not that the script is bad, it's not as good as you feel it could have been. Because I like so many of its, subplots and ideas and reveals, but it just, I don't know, something about the final product was kind of unremarkable. But at the same time, I do want to emphasize that I did think that this was a decent film. Whenever there was an action scene, it was very exciting, and whenever it wanted to be kind of creepy, I thought it was very suspenseful. It generally did succeed in terms of that, but the pacing was also kind of all over the place. I thought the best sequence was really the first 30-40 minutes. I liked how there's so much going on and you weren't really sure what was happening, but then there would be a lot of scenes where characters would just talk, and it got very wordy, it got very dry, and because I thought the characters were relatively conventional, there was nothing about their relationship or their internal conflicts, whatever, that really kept my interest. But I loved the backgrounds. I thought Earth looked like a wasteland, but they somehow made it in a way that still looked aesthetically appealing. That's actually very, very difficult to do. And I liked how they didn't make it overly bleak looking too. A lot of movies like this, you'd figure that they'd be kind of washed out with a lot of gray and brown colors. But not here. It just looks like what you presume Earth would look like if it was trashed. And then, of course, there'd be scenes like, I thought, the sequence where he's at this cabin he kind of built in this place that where plant life still exists. I thought that was a surprisingly effective scene just because it's not trying too hard to look gorgeous. It just happens to be a gorgeous scene and a nice little contrast to, the rest of the planet. And but once again, I think this film's greatest strengths lies within the designs of, the various vehicles, props, aliens, all that kind of stuff. Even the main villain I thought looked kind of awesome in their simplicity. But and then the special effects really served that. And the script, it's not bad. It's once again, it's not good enough. I felt like it could have been so much better. But that's really all I have to say. I did not do a written review of this. I think the last written review I did was of Shaolin Temple 2, a Jet Li movie. So check that out. Anything else I can really add to this? Not really. Would I recommend you see it? Yes. I do think that it's worth watching. I just don't know if I'd say you should watch it in theaters or on video. I think that if you want to see this movie, it's, I think, good enough to warrant a viewing in the theaters. But if you're not really sure, or it just doesn't look all that great to you, I'd just say wait till DVD. So that is that. Be sure to check out my website. Follow me on Twitter. I do hope that I'm going to get a Critiquing the Critics episode up next week. It should be on Schmoes Know. So be sure to check that out. And that is all I've got. See you guys later.